Okay, so in this week's SaaS founder interview, I'm live with David Henzel from Upcoach. David, thank you for joining me for the chat. Love to have you here. Can you just introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you're doing, what you're working on recently?
Sure. Thanks for having me. Always good to see you. Has been way too long. About me, I have a portfolio of businesses, a few productized services, and a few SaaS businesses, and also a platform called Managing Happiness, where I help people to figure out their personal mission, vision, values, and their habits. It's basically helping A players to stay in the A game. We're launching these personal development clubs in companies and also open ones, kind of like Toastmasters meets personal development. It's my passion project. And in terms of the businesses, I'm mainly involved in Upcoach.com, which is a platform for coaches to run their coaching business better, which actually is a result of scratching my own itch in managing happiness because I need a software to facilitate this. And latest obsession is Uber QA. It's a software QA because we need this. Again, I love to scratch my own itch and build services around that. So Uber QA is a quality assurance for developers. We're not happy with the ones that we had. We thought let's build our own. So yeah, that's me.
Cool. I love it. So I love all these projects where you're, like you say, scratching your own itch. And the one that I became aware of most recently was obviously Upcoach through because I joined your Managing Happiness program and had a really great time, really enjoyed it. And I thought it was really valuable for me. But I think the way that you built Upcoach around that project was really impressive. And one of the things I noticed you did a lot was understanding the market and the people who work in the industry. So you called it understanding the jungle. Can you tell us a bit about your process, how you did that, and what you learned from that?
Yeah, sure. So understanding the jungle comes from a story where the US president, after the Vietnam War, went with the general, that American general, and they went to Vietnam. First time the American president came there after the war, and the two generals met. And the American general asked the Vietnamese general, like, "Hey man, how in the world could you beat us? You know, we had better weapons, more money, more people. Like, how in the world were we able to beat us?" And the Vietnamese general said, "Because we understand the jungle better." And kind of taking this idea to SaaS, or to any service that you're building, if you really understand your customer well, or the jungle out there, the market, your customer, the pain points, this will really set you up for success. And I initially created like some document where had like a bunch of questions to really understand how coaches work, because I'm a coach by trade, and I built Upcoach to scratch my own itch to facilitate these Managing Happiness cohorts better. But then I thought, like, hey, actually what we've built is really valuable, and I want to understand the market better, because we thought about spinning this out into a separate product, because it was, I showed it to a few people and they're like, holy cow, this can really help me in my business, in my coaching business. So I did this, interviewed, I don't know, probably 100 coaches to understand what they need, what the pain points are, to understand what do I really want to build, and also kind of make a decision like, what other third parties do we integrate? Because you can build everything, but you don't want to build everything. Kind of want to be like good at a few essential things, especially in the beginning, especially when you bootstrap. And then taking to the next level, I always, like in all of my businesses, I like to have a domain expert in my business, and because you can kind of dream up what people may need, and you can also by logically understand what people need by interviewing them. But if you have somebody on a team who's really felt the pain of not having XYZ in their business, it's really powerful. And so with Upcoach, I reached out to Todd Herman, who's went through like thinking about like who's the best coach, most well-known coach that I know, who's been doing this for the longest time. And Todd came to mind, even though I didn't really know him. I just met him at some entrepreneurial dinner. And I sent him a video saying like, hey man, I've built this coaching software. I'm not a coach by trade. What do you think? And create a Loom video about Upcoach. And he said, that's amazing. It solves 80% of my problems. Can I invest, become your business partner? Completely unsolicited. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do this. And this, having him on board has been like super amazing, and really helped us to build what people want. And actually, another thing that we did, just sharing from experience, what worked really well for us. Once we had Todd on board, we also did something, we called it founders pricing. So basically, if you join now and you sign up, you get grandfathered into a special pricing, and you give us feedback, and so we did this. We got like, I don't know, probably between 1,500 coaching organizations on, and then we closed the doors, and then we focused only on these guys to really understand what they want, and we really changed up the app quite a bit based on their research. And I think now we really have, I never had a business where we had such dramatic product market fit where people really lose their mind of like, holy cow, this is, really, really helps me. So yeah, I've been talking a lot, sorry.
That's great. No, I think it all sounds really awesome. I think there's loads of stuff in there for founders to learn from. I want to go back into your partner and talk a bit about that. But first, I thought I'd just ask you about the practicality of how you started understanding the jungle. So how did you identify the people that you needed to speak to? What were the kind of things you asked them? And how did you know the steer to take as you learn more? I imagine that uncovers more things that you needed to discover. So how did you kind of navigate? Just wanted to explore that a bit more.
Mm-hmm. I have like a sheet with a bunch of questions, and a few of the questions are to kind of really understand where they're at and how they measure success and kind of what the pain points are, kind of like to understand like, where they're at and how the business works. Do they one-on-one coaching? Do they group coaching? Do they have a course or whatever? We kind of understand what kind of flavor of coach they are. Then I always want to understand what they're currently using. What do they do for payments? What do they do for scheduling? What do they do for course delivery? What do they do? Like kind of all these things. Which software are they currently using? And once I've understood this, then I show them what we've currently built. And afterwards, I ask them like, okay, what about the stuff that we've built is really relevant? What really resonates? What of the stuff like you think it's not really needed? And also other questions like, where can I find? Where do you get information about? Or how do you call this thing that I just showed you? Because I kind of like, like, because yeah, like what really is it that we've been creating here? And also, questions like where do you usually find information about this if you want to make a decision based on a product like this? So we can kind of find the watering holes where we can then advertise. And what other questions do we ask them? Who else could you recommend? Could you introduce me to that could give me valuable information for this? And another cool thing is when you do this understanding the jungle thing, when you talk to these influencers and people who are in the space, you keep them in the loop. You ideally get them to your founders circle, and you kind of keep them updated on and get their feedback, and then they really feel part ownership of this thing, and they become advocates for you, and they can become customers or they become affiliates, etc. So there's like more to it than just getting information, but you also kind of like build up this pool of advocates in that scenario.
You're almost building a kind of community around the product too. People who feel invested in some way. They've seen how you've been forming the product. And did this lead towards meeting Todd and then bringing Todd on, or at least approaching Todd? Were you looking for somebody like that already, or was it more of a chance encounter?
It was, to some degree, it was, I always have a lot of serendipitous moments in my life, with these things. If it'd be super hippie, maybe say law of attraction. But with Todd, I met him at a entrepreneur dinner that my buddy Eric Su had organized at Traffic and Conversion Summits, and we just sat next to each other and kind of hit it off. And then first I thought like, who can I reach out to show what I've built to see if this is really viable for coaches or not? And then I thought like, okay, I met Todd. Do I want to reach out to him? But then I felt like, kind of fear focused, like, oh, he probably thinks I just want to sell him, and then I didn't do it. But then he shared something that he's doing a lot of group coaching with his customers. I thought like, hey, this is actually what I've built this for. So let's contact him, because I always want to act out of fear and not out of love and not fear. And acting out of love, because what I have here can actually really benefit them. I used to hate sales with a passion. If I don't, if I feel like a used car salesman, if I only sell because I have to hit my numbers or I have to pay my mortgage, but if I sell out of love because I think what I have here can like actually benefit this person in their life and their business, then I can even be pushy, And so I'm very happy I made this mindset shift and pitch them.
Yeah, I love that, because I think this is a kind of mindset issue that a lot of people have. I mean, I think most people experience that. So there's apprehension. Maybe you're afraid to ask, or you're worried about how it'll be perceived. But it goes to show, like, with the right approach and mindset, it can be something really beneficial for that person. I know Ted's a coach and an author, right? So is he? I just wondered how the collaboration works with you, because are you both able to allocate just a minimal amount of time each, or do you? How do you work together? How do you collaborate?
Todd holds the role of CMO in the business, and he also is, because he has deep experience in the coaching world, he's also giving lots of input into the product. So this is kind of how we dice this up. Yeah,
cool. Okay, got you. And then another question I wanted to ask you is around, you've launched a couple of new products and services that you just told us about, one for billing, one for QA. So how do you know when is the right time to release something new, to launch something new? How do you validate those? Because you've obviously got already things you're working on. So it's quite interesting to see how you're able to multitask, and how you're able to, run several projects simultaneously.
Yeah, I mean, I'm an organization development nerd, so I like to build systems. I'm always a systems thinker, and I like to work on the business, not in the business. So, for example, I never rarely talk to any customers. I can maybe bring a customer in, make an introduction, or ideally a key strategic partner, but I don't do any day-to-day stuff, which kind of frees me up to find partners, or find business partners or GMs that then can run the individual businesses. And in terms of when to launch something, I guess kind of with LTV Plus, my outsourcing business, and Task Drive. Well, first I started LTV Plus with the vision to employ as many people as possible, give them a great place to work. And after reading Conscious Capitalism, which is an amazing book, which I can highly recommend, I bought Task Drive because it was just a good opportunity, and it's also people-centric business. And now with these other services that we've built a software around this. This was like pain points that we had, that we've kind of doing it for some customers already. So we saw there's a market, and it's a good way to build another productized service. So with recoverpayments.com, we've built integrations to Stripe and to Recharge, and to a few other payment providers. And whenever a payment fails, it gets pushed over to us, and we follow up with them via call, chat, whatever, to kind of get them back, or to renew the credit card or whatever. And having this hybrid approach of people and software has been working really well for us.
Yeah, great. No, it's good seeing how you're doing things. I think what some of the key takeaways for this has been, so scratching your own itch is a big thing for you. Understanding the jungle, so all of your interviews with prospects, or your ideal customer profile, finding a partner who really knows and understands the problem in your SaaS, so can help you with big decisions, shaping the product, speed of decision making, making progress in the marketplace. And then it really stands out to me what you just described about how you keep yourself out of the running of the business, the day-to-day, running, but you're actually more in a kind of strategic role, finding partners, helping the systems thinking. So it seems that that's the most valuable place for you to spend your time, in the systems and processes and partnerships.
It's just like comes very natural to me. Always wanting to operate in my zone of genius. It's actually a cool thing I just did. Also, I talked to Eric in Miami, Eric Su, and he said he just did this. He asked everybody on his team, what is something that he's world class at? What is something that he's good at, but they can tell he's not enjoying it? And what is something that he sucks at? And
so I've just lost your audio. I don't know if...
Test 1, 2, 3.
Back. Yeah, back. That's better.
So where did you lose me?
You would just start. You just described when people said what they're best at, what the world class.
So you basically survey people that you work with, asking them, what are you world class at? What are you really, really good at? What are you good at, but they can tell you do not enjoy it? And what are things that you suck at? And, kind of like know thyself, super powerful if because once you know these things, you can kind of find crutches to help you with the things that you suck at, ideally delegate them away, and find people around you that are good with the things that you're not good at. For example, I'm not a quant, I don't like numbers, so I have partners who are like uber numbers nerds, so it's kind of always kind of finding, finding the complements to your weak areas or the areas that you don't enjoy.
Yeah, and you get to optimize your team using that system as well. You move people around from what they're not good at, what they don't enjoy, onto the things that they're good at. I'm in an agency coaching group, and one of the coaches there has a system which is very similar to that, but using traffic lights. So they check in with people regularly and take a red, amber, or green on things that they enjoy or hate doing, and their job is constantly removing the things that people don't enjoy or are not good at from their roles and allocating them to people who enjoy them. I think the organizations really benefit from that. So David, thanks for joining me for this chat. I know it's brief, but we've had loads of really good insights from you, how you operate and what you're doing. So I think that's really valuable. Really appreciate your time. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, man. It was good seeing you.
Yeah, you too.